Kang the Conqueror and Modoc are the latest villains in the Ant-Man films, so today we're going to rank every Ant-Man villain from worst to best. Leave your list down below. How would you rank every Ant-Man villain from worst to best? We're going to be including Modoc and Kang the Conqueror in here alongside the villains from the previous two Ant-Man films. Coming in last place is Sonny Birch. This street level villain actually has a very realistic story for an Ant-Man film. The Pym particles, all of the technology that they have, it would make sense for a street level villain like Sonny Birch to try to obtain all of that, try to steal all the plans and their lab, everything that Hank Pym owns. It would make sense for everything to happen the way that Sonny Birch did it. But the problem with this character is that there's really no development. We really don't get to know him. He just kind of appears here and there throughout Ant-Man and the Wasp. He's not a threatening character in the film. He's not sinister at all, just wants to steal these plans. It's a bit goofy at times. You just there, despite a character that makes sense in the Ant-Man world that wants to steal plans. Coming in fourth place is Modoc. This is a spoiler for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium if you have not seen that film, so just so you know, it is a spoiler. Out of the respect to Darren Cross in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium, he does not want to be called Yellowjacket or Darren Cross anymore. He wants to be called Modoc. So we're going to respect that, include him as a separate villain within this ranking video. Although Modoc was pretty funny in here, and it's just a villain that you just cannot take seriously. It's a floating head with baby legs. It's ridiculous.
You fellas have a lot of growing up to do, I'll tell you that. Ridiculous. Completely ridiculous.
There's a lot of moments where the characters make fun of him, and that's just the enjoyment to that character. Even though I found Modoc to be pretty funny in here, it really doesn't do much to contribute to the storylines. Kang bosses him around quite often. He goes off and does whatever needs to be done. It's funny, but really there's really nothing else to that character because he's just kind of there. I feel like this was a poor way to bring this character into the MCU because I thought there was a lot of potential for this villain in future MCU films, but the storyline for him was really weak. Funny at times, but I don't think it was the best way to integrate this villain into the MCU. Coming in third place is Yellowjacket. The storyline for Darren Cross is very cliche. When you look at where this film was released in the MCU compared to other films, the storyline for Darren Cross seems very similar to other characters, especially villains set in the Iron Man films. A character that wants to be taken seriously, feels like their mentor, Hank Pym in here, is not believing in him, so he uses that as a way to become Yellowjacket, the villain in the movie. There are some really good action scenes, and I feel like there are some intense moments between Yellowjacket and Ant-Man, but the story for Yellowjacket is really paper thin. Corey Stoll in here gives a really good performance as Yellowjacket, Darren Cross. You understand the motives, even if they are cliche in here. I think they could have went a little bit deeper into the storyline with Darren Cross and his hatred towards Hank Pym. It was there, but I didn't think it was as impactful as they thought it would be. A pretty intimidating villain at times, but the storyline is very weak for this character. Coming in second place is Ghost. Now, Ghost is the type of villain where you sympathize for this character. When you learn of what the character is doing and trying to protect herself, she needs something to happen to her to protect herself, but it comes at the cost of another character. And so you look at this character, you sympathize for her. She is someone that, didn't want to go down this path, but needs to take drastic measures. And so characters like this and Vulture and Killmonger, those are characters that you really care for, despite their villainous ways. They are characters that you do enjoy seeing. And I like Ghost. I think the story for her is dramatic and adds some new elements to the Ant-Man films, really challenges them. And I like that's not the same thing from Yellowjacket. It's a different ability, really testing Ant-Man and the Wasp within here. But coming in first place is Kang the Conqueror. Jonathan Majors gives a really good performance as Kang. You understand this character. He is very intimidating, sinister. You believe everything that he says. Even if it's not this version of Kang, a different version, you believe that that version will come along and succeed. There's a lot of hand-to-hand combats. The abilities of Kang are menacing. The presence of this character alone is better than the other villains. It's very intimidating. When they talk about the character, they're not using the words Kang the Conqueror. They are using he and him. He's coming. We're going to take you to see him. Just the way that the characters talk about Kang is very chilling. And when they introduce him, it definitely does deliver. The way that he speaks, the way that he handles himself, you believe that he truly is going to be one of the biggest villains in the MCU. I didn't get that for any of the other Ant-Man villains. I just thought they were okay, or Ghost was pretty good. But here, this character was menacing, and I like the introduction and the post-credit scenes. You really believe that this character will be the next Thanos. And that's all due to Jonathan Majors' performance in here as Kang. The abilities, the way he's able to manipulate people, control things, it's all explored in Ant-Man Quantumania. This is a really good villain. And I think Phase 4 was lacking just a really central villain. And here we got that, and I can't wait to see it move forward in Phase 5. So there you guys have it. Every Ant-Man villain ranked worst to best. How would you rank them? Let me know in the comment section down below. And stay tuned for more up and coming content like this. My name is Just Watches Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.